Okay, so I thought chapter 19 on youth interactions and online harassment and cyberbullying was super interesting because it kind of like delves into the darker side of communication, which is what I like more, anyways. So, for starters, the chapter started talking about the role of the legal system, and I thought this was cool because the chapter basically said that there's so many gray areas in the legal system and so many places that they can't really put their foot down that cyberbullying and online stuff kind of goes unnoticed, which is not good because it's a huge problem, but at the same time, the law can't really arrest or get every single online troll in trouble. Um, the next part of the chapter was they talked about perpetrator characteristics, and this was really interesting to me because they basically said there's a misconception of pedophiles and online solicitors. So basically, they said that a lot of online like inappropriate activity is from the solicitors, which that is just where you try to get a minor to talk about sexual interactions when they don't want to. But most of the time, that doesn't ever lead to anything more. So, and they often said that the adults who commit these sexual offenses against teenagers are widely placed in a category with psychological disorders, and motivations for this often vary. And a lot of the times it's because of the attention and sexual attraction that they have behind this. But for some reason, the book is still claiming that pedophiles, they put them in a different category. So that was a little confusing to me because I would often think that they were the same thing, but it's saying that these people aren't the same because they most of the time don't ever follow through with it. So and then let's see. Okay, here's the part that was also interesting: sexual solicitation and internet initiated offline encounters. So it's saying that one of a parent's greatest fears is if they let their kid just like free range on the internet, that they're going to be a target for sexual abuse or some sort of rape involvement. But it's really saying that online predators entice the youth, but they don't follow through with it. So they might get pictures from them, which is still terrible, or talk about inappropriate things that they shouldn't be talking about with the younger people. But most of the time, it's people in their mid 20s or above that really like actually meet up and have sex. So that was interesting to me because I always thought that like they lured them in somewhere, but and that might be the goal, but that doesn't happen a lot. And the definition of solicitation: an online sexual encounter when someone on the internet tries to get a minor to talk about sex when they do not want to. And basically, the first and second youth internet safety surveys indicate that 13 to 19% of youth have experienced this. So it clearly is a big problem because if that many people are experiencing it. But I was still expecting it to be a little bit higher just because of how many people use the internet and how many creepy people there are out there. And now it says victims and perpetrators. Perpetrators, they usually prey on the weak. That's just in general in life. And so it's the kids that are in chat rooms and just like really not caring about their safety and just wanting that attention from anyone that get targeted the most because they're going to take whatever from anyone, and that's kind of what gets them in trouble. But a lot of the times also it's saying that victims that said that they have been a target of online sexual solicitation are those that are of the age that are just curious about sex. So they don't know much, so they're curious. They kind of want to delve into that category, but kind of don't want to. So it's kind of like it's a vulnerable age for sure, and I think that that's kind of what leads into harassment and cyberbullying because they might say or do something that they later on regret, and then because they're unsure of themselves, they're unsure of that whole new world that's about to open up to them, and so then that's when harassment and cyberbullying comes to play because that can be used and held over their head as blackmail by the perpetrators, and so that's really sad, but it happens more than a lot of people would think. So basically, the chapter was good, and I thought that it gave me some insight into what to look out for one day when I have my children. Luckily, I was never a victim of that, but I know of people that have been, and I know that it is something that's terrible, and I never want my kids to experience it. So, it gave me some insight.